Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of The Clean Talk. Everybody enjoys a good meal, but the hygiene challenges that most restaurants mitigate often remain in the dark. This episode is all about navigating how global food chains uphold hygiene at scale. This episode is brought to you by Diversey, a Solenis company. To shine a light on this topic, we have with us today Mr. Doruk Selvi, Institutional Director, UAE and Morocco, and Corporate Accounts MEATR, Diversey, a Solenis company, and Dr. Kani Chezhian, Manager, International Restaurant Quality Assurance, the Wendy's company. At the outset of this episode, I would like to welcome both of you, Mr. Doruk and Dr. Kani. Welcome to this episode of The Clean Talk.
Thank you.
Dr. Kani, I will begin with you. How do global food chains like Wendy's ensure consistent hygiene practices across thousands of locations and each operating in different regulatory landscapes? Please answer this burning question for us.
Wendy's have consistent hygiene practices across the board. Despite of various regulatory requirements, we make sure that we are implementing proper protocols. Most of our standards are globalized. So we have a global quality assurance program in which we make sure that we follow the best international practices, like HACCP and etc. as a base for our global standards. That's number one. Secondly, if you're seeing, we go into franchise agreements. So whenever we onboard a franchisee, first thing is that we sign an agreement with them, and we make sure that those agreements are forced to follow certain Wendy's mandatory requirements. So they have to follow all these requirements from Wendy's, and more importantly, we onboard them correctly. So we make sure that enough coaching, training, everything is given, and brief of Wendy's brand requirements are given to them well in advance, so they follow the Wendy's standards. Next to that, we have our programs called as assessments, which is the food safety assessments. So which is a global program again. It's not only for a particular country or a particular region. These assessments are again developed based on the global food safety programs. So it goes completely unannounced. We call it as assessments. We are not calling it at audit or inspection. Assessments are there to give feedback and support. So we are giving them feedbacks and support to make sure they're performing better in terms of food safety and hygiene. And more importantly, it finds out the root cause. So most of our assessments are root cause based. So and very important is that even though we are a global company, we have to follow our global brand standards, but localization is equally important, right? Because
definitely
in UAE, say for example, they have their own training requirements, they have their own other standards. So it should be globalized with a local touch. So we'll make sure that that local requirement is equivalent to Wendy's standards or more than that. If it is lesser than that, we'll still enforce our requirements plus the local requirement. But if it's more than us or equivalent to us, then we'll go with the localized standard also. That's why we call it as globalization with localized backbone. And then lastly, any program, be it food safety or any program, needs continuous improvement. So we learn from the feedbacks, be it our customers' feedback or from any incidents or accidents occurs in our premises or any other outbreaks happening in a particular region. So it can be an outbreak, it can be an incident, it can be a guest feedback. We continuously learn from them, and our programs gets equipped and developed every now and then, so as needed. And after all this also, we have an emergency preparedness program. So if in case anything is missed out, through this emergency preparedness program, we tackle those scenarios. That's how we maintain it globally.
That's very comprehensive. And now, Mr. Doruk, if I may come to you, we know that Diversey works with many QSR restaurants. So what role does a hygiene partner like Diversey play in helping quick service restaurants maintain high levels of cleanliness and standards?
Well, QSR is a challenge of its own. You have multiple sites, you have high turnover rates. So a hygiene supplier, I think, has to focus on many topics. Starting with the basic, the products. The products has to be readily available in the markets. That's how we cover all Middle East Africa with 10 manufacturing locations, with teams on the ground. Because this region is not easy to manage from regulatory side, from the crisis of Suez, then you have other geopolitical tensions. So if the supplier or the vendor of hygiene and cleaning is not really agile to address it, it will be a struggle for the QSR chain. So on that part, I think supply chain integrity is crucial to support the partner. Then again, the focus on training is a must because you're as good as your training. You can have the best product in the market, but unless someone uses it properly, it will not really work. So that's why we focus on the training with our partners. The training itself is not just physical, but we do also have video trainings to support the training on demand part. And last but not least, the innovations. Innovations are very important. This region is the most innovative for me in the QSR. I don't know for Wendy's as well, same. Yeah. For us, it is very innovative. We really set the trend here. It was not like this 15 years ago, but today I really feel that for Diversey, the innovation starts in Middle East and Africa. So that's why we believe in the blueprinting process or the co-innovation process. So we really review our position with our partners. How are we doing? Can we improve the process? Is this something we can think outside of the box? Because the products are products, but if you really work on a process to improve per QSR, not just for Wendy's, not just for it cannot be the same thing for Wendy's and another brand. So it has to be specific to Wendy's because Wendy's has different challenges than the other QSR brands. So that's why I think if you apply these three things, then you have a winning formula and then you achieve a better competitive edge for your partner as well, not just for yourself.
Definitely. Point taken. Dr. Kani, would you like to add to this? I mean, as Wendy's, what do you think, what role does a hygiene partner play in helping, quick service restaurants?
Absolutely. I think so. Doruk had covered most of them. The question itself is saying partner, right?
Yeah.
So we call them as hygiene partners. They are not our vendors.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between vendors and partners. So they come along with us. They travel along with us throughout the process. Other than whatever Doruk had said, there is another area I want to touch on also, which is the safety and sustainability part. So we go with companies like Diversey for a reason. See, nowadays many of the MNCs have their own sustainability targets to achieve. So in sustainability, be it the transport, be it the carbon emission, be it the quality of the chemicals, whatever they want to use in, so everything has to be minimized. That is number one. Second thing, the safety part. So most of the chemicals from Diversey, where we don't have to wear PPE, say for example. So it's that much safe for our staff members as well as the guests who are using it in the washrooms and all those. Secondly, I can say they can deliver in customized programs. So if I am Wendy's, I require certain areas to be clean this way. Maybe I have more things to be done in a drive-through area. If I'm a drive-through restaurant, they can give me specialized chemicals. And I may have a specialized equipment in my kitchen which my competitors may not have. So they can coach me on how to clean on those. So these are all some areas I want to say added to what Doruk had said.
Definitely is a partnership and sounds like a partnership, and that's how you progress. Now, Mr. Doruk, as Diversey works with multiple QR brands globally, what are some of the most common challenges that you help them overcome?
Challenges-wise, I think global arena and MEA is not that different. The human capital is the biggest challenge, I think, because many sites and you have a high turnover rate and you need to follow the standards in each brand. When you go to one Wendy's, the same taste, another Wendy's, same taste, same quality, same service. So that is the main challenge. But from hygiene standpoint, I think the most important for me is the hand hygiene, which we already have seen last 10 years. It can bring a large chain to its knees if you do not really follow the right practices.
Of course.
For hand hygiene, we definitely focus on two things, on the consumption analysis. So we track if we are really meeting the targets of the customer or if there is a risk. And more importantly than that is the awareness. So we raise awareness on why we need to wash hands using the Global Hand Washing Day, World Hygiene Day, because if it comes as a top-down decision or a push, it doesn't really get the right absorption rate. But if people understand why cross-contamination or why hand hygiene risks are there, and if you don't wash it, what can it cause, then people follow it more willingly, more understanding. So that's why awareness, I think, is really crucial. It's not just us, but our partners also are I think, taking this as a very key initiative to follow. The other two things I would say this region is the ice machines are quite tricky in this region. You have a lot of water challenge issues in Saudi,
Yes.
in South Africa, other regions. So ice machines really are a pitfall, and it's not really visible. You know, it's really hidden, but until you have a risk, until you have a failed audit. So one good example we did is with the large chain, because we do audits, not audits, but surveys. Let's say we visit and we do a report. We identified in their Saudi operation, there was a huge non-compliance on disinfection and cleaning of ice machines.
Okay.
So unless this was addressed, they will fail the audits, and then it will cost our partner. So we immediately get together. We did a SOP per equipment, because they have like 8 different ice machine brands. It's not one, because this year this ice machine is cheaper, that year this ice machine is cheaper, so you keep changing it. So, but through this proactive approach, we prevented a risk. So this is, I think,
And you also save their reputation.
yes, this is how a vendor, or let's say a partner, should really act. Not when the risk happens, but before the risk happens. The third thing is, I think, surface disinfection.
Yeah.
Very important. The challenge I see in this region is, again, from the traditional chlorine approach, because chlorine you have to change every 4 hours in the sink. It evaporates very fast. It is a little bit has a strong smell, so it's not really preferred by the staff as well. So let's say it's a very busy operation. So your Saudi operation is getting very busy, and during the rush, someone forgot to change the chlorine. So then you have a big risk of
Contamination.
disinfection.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what we did, because of the blueprinting process we did with the large chain, we analyzed we have to do something about it. You know, how do we address it? So we developed a QAC solution in a sachet, because this region uses portion control, because it's hard to manage dispensers. And then this QAC solution can last 1 day without changing. So it addressed the problem, it resolved it, but on the other side, we managed to save 120 liters of water per day. We managed to save labor cost time. We managed to save ease of operation. The engagement increased. So it was a nice collateral, not damage, but benefit. and it turned out to be a big success. So now this innovation started in MEA, and now we are using in the global arena. So that's why I'm saying MEA really is the epicenter of innovation. And we owe it to our partners. Without our partners' discussions, we couldn't have come up with a solution. So
Definitely.
that's how we manage.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mr. Doruk. Now, Dr. Kani, if you can walk us through a typical day in the life of hygiene operations in a Wendy's kitchen, from food prep to service.
Okay, so I'll start with where Doruk had left, the hand hygiene part. See, at the end, be it kitchen or dining area, it's all start with people.
Definitely.
So people are the one who prepares food, serve food, and delivers everything. So to start right and close right, that is what I will say for our operation. So you have to always start right. So when you want to start right, so it's all about hand washing. So irrespective of whatever the positions you hold, you can be a restaurant general manager or you can be a crew member, everybody should enter the kitchen. First thing is to wash hands. That's the first part of our job. Then later on, they'll go into their equipment checks, because what happens is that restaurant is closed for maybe like 7-8 hours in the night, then they're coming in the morning. So they have to go in and do the temperature checks for all those critical equipments. After that, they have to make sure that the facility is maintained neat and clean before they start their particular day. So that is where like Diversey or any other vendor partners in to help us on maintaining that cleaning standards. So this is where we will start with. Then we'll go into the actual preparation. So when we go into the actual preparation, if you have to make sure that all those equipments, be it chopping boards, slicers, dicers, everything is available and cleaned properly. Again, we'll partner with our chemical vendors like Diversey. Then comes in the personal hygiene part. So even though you wash hands, maybe you're preparing some produce or some frosty, that is our signature dessert which we have. So when you prepare, it's all ready to eat. So you have to make sure that you have your gloves on and all those things. And it also has to be stored in the right conditions. So if it's a chill food, should be in the chiller. It should be followed the right hierarchy in your cold stores. So all those things happens after preparation. Then comes the heart of our operations, which is the cooking part. Yeah, so whatever we have, our sandwiches or anything, it has to get cooked properly. So please make sure that all our operations having the right equipments, working properly, and after cooking we make sure that the temperatures are checked both for cooking as well as while holding, because we have certain time limits, right? A cooked patty can be there only for 5 minutes. After that it should be discarded.
Yeah.
So it's not about safety, it's more about the quality part. And more importantly, we have to reinforce personal hygiene here as well, because this is where most of the ready to eat food items are prepared. So personal hygiene is reinforced here. And cross-contamination risks, because we have lots of high-risk ready-to-eat foods here. So we have to avoid cross-contamination, be it use of a thermometer, be it use of our cleaning towels, like all those things. And finally, after our busy day, how messy the kitchens will be. So we have to do a proper deep cleaning before we close. And again, the temperature checks of all the equipments, because it's going to get closed for another 7-8 hours. So we have to make sure that all those equipment temperatures are maintained properly. And the most important thing on the night is that to discard all the waste. So whatever the garbage collected for that day or for that shift, that all should be discarded so that we don't attract pests. Okay, I did all these things as a team member of Wendy's. I did from receiving till service, but without documentation. So it's all not valid. So that's a proof, right? So we have to make sure that all the documentations are complete. In the sense, it should be actual and accurate.
Yeah.
So I should not sit in the office and complete all those things. So in Wendy's, we make sure that we have lots of IoT-based temperature checks. We have lots of digitalized documentation platforms. So we use in and make sure that those things are actual and accurate. Sometimes you can see some of our forms are time bound. So if it is after 11 o'clock in the morning, you cannot do an opening check. So it's time bound over there. So this is how we control from morning till evening.
That is very elaborate and a very safe process as well. Definitely. Now, Mr. Doruk, if I may ask you, see, we spoke about, documenting all the hygiene practices that, QSRs are doing. How do we measure them and how we help them improve?
Measuring is the start, because you are as good as what you measure.
Exactly.
And then, as Kani said, you document.
Yeah.
Because the perception has to be there. So we do use two systems to help our partners. One of them is the CMX or Eureka. When I say audit, they don't like it, but it's actually an audit.
Nobody likes the word audit.
It's actually an audit. We do, based on the frequency we agree, whether it's 6 months or 12 months, physically at each site, right? So we do check 3 things in these visits. Let's say visits better. One is compliance. Are they complying with the brand standard products, or are they doing shortcuts? So that is one check. The second check is awareness. So we check the knowledge levels, the skill levels of the staff based on our processes, our SOPs in line with our partners. And third, are they doing it actually, or are they just checking the box? So because there's a gap between knowing and actually doing. So we check these 3 things and we document it. But any corrective action we need to take, we take it on the site. So on that visit, we correct it. However, we will not check it on the box. We will say this was a fail. So let's say you have 1,000 stores and there is 1,000 audits, visits. And then we have a dashboard. So we see it per country, per brand, and we identify top non-compliances. And this is how we sit together and align on a new training, new focus program. Because again, each brand, Wendy's is a different, very different specific requirements than other QSRs. So this is how we address the challenges with our partners, and proactively we prevent. The other thing we do is more of a accountant work, but we call it traffic lights. So we analyze per site, per product, what is the consumption? Based on the benchmarks, we agree. Let's say this product has to be used based on the Wendy's brand standard per day this much. And then we see in the matrix, this is below the benchmark. How below? Is it 10-15% manageable? Or if it's 50%, so that's red traffic light, and then 10-15 yellow traffic light within the benchmark, green. And then we identify the best performing store, the worst performing store, and obviously worst performing store is different discussion point, and the best performing store we celebrate it together because they are actually they are leading the hygiene standards, not doing shortcuts and following the right consumptions. So this is how we support our partners.
And what do you do with the ones with the worst score?
We do more trainings.
Oh, which is exactly my next point about trainings. So Dr. Kani, if you can let me know what are the biggest challenges you face when scaling hygiene protocols globally, and how have you addressed them through innovation or training?
As I previously mentioned, so it's all about learnings and experiences. So one of the major challenges we have is our diverse regulatory requirements. So Wendy's is in so many countries.
Yes.
Each and every country is having their own local requirements.
Yeah.
So that is one of the major challenge. But we are tackling it in a very nice way. So as we said before, what we do is that we have global policies, but it's more of localized versions. So that is one way we can support that challenge. And another thing we do is that we get support from our local compliance team. So when I see a local compliance team, it's not only Wendy's team, we include our partners, be it our food vendors, our chemical vendors, our pest vendors. So they coach us, okay, you are going in this country, like these are the things to be taken care. And sometimes our food suppliers also, because they're already in the market, they know exactly what to be taken care in and food facility. So we learn from them and we make sure that global regulatory gap is fixed in. So that's the first thing I can say. Second thing is the cultural and behavioral differences. So if you come into Middle East, it's a different thing. If you go into Asia, it's completely different. If you go into North America, it's again very different. If you go into Europe, it's very different. Even the perspective of hand washing in one country, like
it
every
differs
30 minutes,
definitely.
Yeah, the other place maybe like they say it's okay. I didn't wash hands. I'm a chef for 30 years. Nothing happened to my guests. So there are lots of cultural and behavioral opportunities. There, what we do is that we take personal examples like, okay, in your restaurant, your friends can come in and dine in, your family can come in. So when you build that culture and personal connect, that motivates the team, that makes the team to think of it. And we don't only translate the materials, because everybody is thinking for different countries, okay, just translate in their language, people can understand that. It's not only about translation of stuff, it's all about how you get connected and make it and take it personal to them. So if you do that one, that can be avoided. And next we can talk about is inconsistent infrastructure. As Doruk had previously mentioned, water is a major challenge in many of the regions. So how we tackle it? So we make sure that the filters are fitted in place, the TDS or the chemical parameters are checked at regular basis. We send samples to the laboratories to make sure that we are proactive and we don't face any challenges. There are certain high-risk foods which doesn't get cooked, say for example. Those items we don't use the potable water supplied by authorities. We may use the distilled water or the clean water. So these are all some things which we do. There are certain places we don't get electricity. So we have to run with generators. There are certain places where deliveries cannot be given on a regular basis. So instead of a fresh beef, where those places where the supplier cannot deliver in, we have to go with frozen beef. So there are lots of inconsistent infrastructures or facilities or services, I can say. So that is a challenge next to that. And then comes the staff turnover. Because previously we said it's all about people, right?
Yeah.
But when they get a better offer, definitely we'll keep on moving. So staff turnover is a major challenge. So we have to motivate them. We have to ensure that they are properly coached trained. So training is not like as we discussed earlier. It's not about like 6 hours training program. Nobody is interested in that. So we have lots of micro learnings. We have QR codes with the help of Diversey and our partners. We have like micro learnings, QR codes, visual training aids. So sometimes like if somebody is coaching, they are not interested in that. But if it is posted over there, they may go through that. So we had given them all those training aids and coachings and motivations. So through which we are controlling the staff turnover. Lastly, it's about the supply chain availability, especially after this global tensions and all those things. Supply chain is another challenge, be it for food items or non-food items.
Yeah, it's for every industry actually.
Yeah, it's for every industry. That is why we stick to a couple of things. One is our approved vendors. So that is where we have to go with reputed or multinational companies like Diversey because they will never run out of stock. They will never put us down.
We will have a plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E.
Yes.
Just to make sure.
Yes. So that is why we go with our approved vendors. And if you can see recent days, there are like many countries, they started with localization.
Yes.
Be it chemical vendors or food vendors. Previously, our beef have to come from Australia or US, our chemicals have to come from XYZ countries. But now the things are changing. So many of them are going for more localization so that our food safety will not be compromised in our restaurants.
Definitely. Now, Mr. Doruk, I will take your perspective on the training. So training is often cited as key in hygiene compliance. How does Diversey support continuous staff education across a global QSR workforce?
I think Kani mentioned most of it, but you cannot really replace the human part of it. I mean, we will still stick to physical trainings. I mean, I believe you forget 70% of what you read or watch, but you'll retain 70% of what you fiddle.
Definitely.
So hands-on training is always an important. I mean, you will never replace that. However, because the turnover rates are so high, you cannot also train every month, every week. So there will be, I don't know, every 3 months, every 6 months, every 1 year. So there has to be something in between to address those gaps. So you have still high compliance. COVID-19 for us was a good catalyst, because when we couldn't go to the partners sites, we said, what do we do? How do we address it? Because it's getting risky, and because new procedures, new SOPs, how do we disinfect the high touch area? So then we developed short videos and we linked them to QR codes. Then the QR codes raised a lot because the menus are QR codes, but also trainings are QR codes, not just the menus itself. So we shot per customer, per equipment, 50 seconds, 45 seconds, not too long, not boring videos, but with their own equipment. So that, because as I said, the ice machine, you can have 8 different brands and each of them has a different way of opening, closing, cleaning. So we did that. It was in the beginning a little bit burdensome, but it helped us a lot because it increased the compliance levels. So that investment returned back to us and to our partner as well. So I think digitization is very important. So we call it soft digitization. Hopefully in future we will involve more AI related things. There are some studies using the cameras. How do we track the behavior of the staff and then design a training program based on that? What are the biggest pitfalls? Because we go to the site based on the frequencies we agree, 6 to 12 months, rarely 3 months in QSRs, because QSRs a lot. It's not casual dining, it's not fine dining. So there are new things coming, but for now, yes, we are focusing on training on demand and physical trainings. So, and there is a third layer of trainings, not training, but we call it briefing. So we do to the medium to the senior level of QA and training leads. What is the trends in the market? So as I mentioned, the blueprinting process or the co-innovation process. So we do this every yearly once. So we get together with the large QA leads in the markets and discuss what are the pressing points for global. We present it because we have the global reach, and we discuss what are the pressing points for Middle East and how we can utilize certain innovations in certain markets, or how can we export the innovations in MEA to the other markets. As I mentioned, we identified a very good water saving initiative. It turned out to be also a cost saving initiative. And now South Africa is benefiting from it because South Africa has a water crisis,
Yeah.
right? So that's how we approach training. Physical, QR code, training on demand, but also a senior discussion so that it comes up, bottom up, but also top down. It's like a combination of a few things. Like me and Kani, we know each other for some time. We always discuss ideas. And I find it very valuable because he has more knowledge on the QA part. I have more knowledge on the hygiene chemical side. So it's a good interaction. I always learn something when I have a discussion with him. So it helps me to also help my partners back.
And I'm sure our listeners have also benefited from your conversation today. And with that, we will conclude this episode. Thank you so much for being with us. With that, we conclude this episode. And to our listeners, if you found this episode interesting, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.